Climber. If you're a songwriter that wants to make hay in the music business, you need more than. Let me just start over. Climber. If you're a songwriter in the music business and you want to make hay in the music business, you need more than just good songs. You need more than great songs. If you really want to level out and make songs that last generationally, you need super songs. What are super songs? We're going to talk about them today on The Climb. Johnny, do that thing you do.
You want to try that one more time?
Yeah.
That was a little bumpy.
Okay. Climber. If you're a songwriter who wants to make hay in the music business, you need more than just good songs. You need more than great songs. If you really want to make a dent in the universe, you need super songs. What are they? We're going to talk about it today on The Climb. Johnny, do that thing you do.
Welcome to The Climb! This is a show dedicated to helping singers, songwriters, and indie artists like you create leverage in the music business. When you have leverage, everybody that you want to work with, the people that you didn't even know that you want to work with, will come out of the woodwork to work with you. That's why we called it The Climb. I'm going to teach you how to get there. C.L.I.M.B, creating leverage in the music business. It's a backsynonym from my good friend and co-host, Mr. Brent Baxter, who is also an award-winning hit songwriter with cuts by Alan Jackson, Randy Travis, Lady A, Joe Nichols, and more. Southern Gospel #1s, top 10s in Australia. The man's a machine, keeps making miracles happen. But what you're really interested in is he helps songwriters like you turn pro by revealing how you write like a pro, do business like a pro, and then he teaches you how to connect with the pros. You can find Brent very easily. He doesn't teach you how. He makes the connection. That's what I mean.
Huh.
He's going to introduce you to the pros. You can find Brent very easily on songwritingpro.com.
And I would like to introduce you to my co-host, Johnny Dwinell. Johnny owns Daredevil Production. They're breaking artists digitally by identifying new fans through data. It's complicated, but he's smart. If you're an artist looking to increase your streams, blow up your video views, sell more live show tickets, and get discovered by new fans, TV, and music industry pros, then Daredevil Production can help. Daredevil has worked with multi-platinum artists like Colin Ray, Tracy Lawrence, Ty Herndon, and Andy Griggs, just to name a few. You can find Johnny at daredevilproduction.com. That is production singular, no S, and there's no S because there is no other Johnny D.
What's happening?
Oh, man, just, I had a good time writing with your boy, Josh Roy. Joe Boy,
Yeah.
Josh Roy, and Jamie Grooms, and that was fun. The trip itself went squirrely, but the songs didn't. Songs
Dude, that
are the one
sucks.
thing
I
that went
have
right.
been, for the record, I have been punished like that by Allegiant Air myself. When the first year that Janelle and I went down to Key West to that rock festival that they had, Rock Island,
Mhm.
it was like 2 years ago. We took Allegiant, and
Yeah,
it was like super inexpensive flights, right? And it was a direct flight from Nashville to Key West. I'm like, what? This is
yeah,
amazing. So we went and we did that. And the thing is there's one flight coming in and there's one flight going out every week. One
yeah.
flight, And then they just decided to cancel the flight going out. They're like, yeah, nah, we're gonna cancel it. And so I was like, what the
When are we
hell?
going
Like,
home?
it's like, what do we do? And they're like, well, you can wait around till Thursday when
Till our
the
next
next flight,
regularly scheduled flight. Yeah.
goes out. And I'm like, that's not gonna
No.
fly. Key West isn't, inexpensive.
Right. Yeah.
By any stretch of the imagination. So, I mean, I literally had to arrange for transport from Key West to Miami,
Hmm.
where we found, a couple flights to get us back home. But yeah, you got
Yep.
screwed by Allegiant.
So yeah, so they had mechanical problems. I'd have been screwed more if they tried to fly anyway. So I'm glad that they were going to put the bird in the air if it wasn't flying right. So thank you for not putting my life at risk. But I got to hang out in the airport for about 6 hours, which I've done longer. So I just decided, we called it, and I wrote with them instead of going to Phoenix. I wrote with Josh and Jamie over Zoom, and so we still got 5 songs in 2 days. And
Yeah,
hopefully it's stuff that's going to serve him well and give you lots of stuff that you can help him blow up. So it was a good time. It was a
nice.
good time. I missed the pool and I missed the 5-star meals from the celebrity chef. manager. But
Yes.
I gotta hug my kids good morning and good night, kiss my wife good morning, and so,
What does
hey, what
this
does this
make
make
possible?
possible? That my wife didn't miss me. So, it was all good.
There we go. All right, man. Well, before we get, what are we going to learn today? We're going to learn super songs.
We're talking yes, so, we've had him on the podcast before. It has been many moons. I don't even know what episode it was, but we had our buddies, John Pashad and Wade Sutton on here. They wrote this book, Hacking Music. And
Yeah.
so I was just, going back through it, looking through it, and thought, you know what? Some of this stuff is definitely good fodder for episodes. And so I want to talk about one of the sections called Super Songs, which are these, well, what is his name? Look at the quote. Oh yeah, Jason Newsted from Metallica. His
Uh-huh.
quote in here is, "It's more important to have a classic song than a number one song." And so we're going to kind of dive into what that is and what that means for you and your career, and how you should be writing, or if you're an artist, what you should be looking for. So we're gonna dive into that today. Be a
I
good
love
time.
it. All right. Well, before we do that, let's take care of a little business here. Join the Climb community on Facebook. It's facebook.com/groups/the Climb community. You have to ask to be let in. We let everybody in, so don't sweat that. And you got to be good boys and girls. Like if you want to talk about your new music, that's on Monday. Put it as a comment on the post that we give you. If you want to
Mhm,
talk about your gigs, that's on Thursday. It's gig alert. Put that in the comments on the Thursday post. And then what we're going to share a little bit right now is Wednesday wins. Like, let's talk about your wins, man. How'd you move up? How'd you move forward? What'd you do today that was 1% better than you did yesterday? We want to hear about that. And that goes under the new heights post every
mhm.
Wednesday for our climbers. What you don't do is put your personal stuff in the feed. The
Right.
feed is for the community, right? Doesn't mean you can't post in the feed. Just in the feed, put like, if there's something funny, if there's something inspirational, if there's something educational, anything having to do with what that climb community is all about. By all means, we encourage you to post that in the
Yeah.
feed. But this is not where you sell siding. This is not where
You sell your songs either.
you sell your song. Yeah, So I mean, we're just gonna roadhouse you out, and that'll be that. So because we care about the community, like we want our people, not to be deluged with bullshit in the feed, to put it frankly. So
Right.
there you go. So let's talk about some wins.
All right, so wins, always more wins than we have time to talk about, which is awesome. So I'll just pick a couple here. Climber Brian Williams says he won the NSAI Songwriting Chapter Challenge for Wyoming. So congrats, Brian. That's awesome. Of course, you have
Yeah.
Sunday Joe Graham giving him congrats, and other people on here. That's how we do it here. You post a win, somebody's probably going to say good job, and it starts building a relationship, which I
His
love.
name is Brian Williams.
Brian Williams. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Any relation to Chancey? He's also a Wyoming boy.
Oh, really? I do not know. Brian,
Mm,
let us know.
mhm.
All right. Also, climber Steve Lombardo, who we've met at the Freak
Yes.
Show and stuff. So Steve's been around. So he says, got recognized by NSAI for not one, but two songs I wrote with Michael McFarland, who I think is also a climber. I was recognized for
Nice.
our song, and he lists the titles. I'm not going to list your titles on here because I got to go to the climb community to see what cool titles these are. But good job, Steve, for being recognized by NSAI for two songs. So put in the work. Yeah, Michael's a climber as well. I see him in his comment on here. On top of that, another song that Michael wrote that they wrote with Brad Hacker, climber, and Aaron Rose, climber, also won the NSAI Cleveland Chapter Challenge. So climbers out there making stuff happen, winning
There's a common thread
challenges,
through
all
all of
kinds of
this.
goodness.
There's a common thread through all these wins. Climber, climber, climber,
Climber,
climber,
climber,
climber.
climber. Well, of course, they're in the community, so they got to be. But they're working with other climbers, right? It's
Yeah,
that community. So
I
it's
love it.
awesome.
And shout out to Lombardo, man, because he reached out to me, and he's gonna throw a little press our way for Josh with his first release, which drops on the 10th. So it's May 10th, and this will come out. When does this show drop?
Oh, let me look at my calendar. I mean, everyone listening knows,
Yeah,
but
I think it'll be a couple days after this drop.
this one drops on the 16th. Happy May
Yeah.
16th, everybody.
So yeah, so 6 days ago it dropped, and shout out to Lombardo for giving us a leg up on that, man. Super, super appreciate you for that. Thank you.
Well,
Very
cool.
cool.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, so that's the last thing is just make sure you follow the Climb or subscribe to it, whatever podcast platform you're on, and make sure you tell a friend about it. Okay, this
Mhm.
stuff here, we're trying to teach you how to get leverage. There's lots of indie musicians, other indie artists that you work with, that you're friends with in your community. If they don't know about the podcast, turn them on to it because
Mhm.
you know we're trying to help. All right. So let's get into this thing. Super songs.
Super songs. So again, this is from John Pashada and Wade Sutton's book, Hacking Music. A lot of good stuff in there for if you're, especially if you're an indie artist, but if you're a songwriter as well, it just helps you understand kind of the new music business and how to help your artists that you're hopefully writing with get stuff done and climb so you can climb with them. So this section is on super songs. And so what are super songs? It's important to differentiate a super song from a hit song. A hit song and a super song can be two very different things. Like Jason Newsted from Metallica said, it's more important to have a classic song than it is to have a hit song and or number one song. And so these fall more into the classics song. So a couple things, and then we're going to talk into even more detail, kind of how you can maybe build a super song. So super songs have several things in common that set them apart from a hit. One, super songs have a tendency to outlive the artist. So these are like multi-generational songs. We're talking some Beatles songs, some Elvis songs, that kind of thing. Had long
Mhm,
life. It's not here and gone, right? There are hits from
mhm,
last year that we've already forgotten about. These are not
mhm,
those. These are ones that your mama knows and you know,
mhm.
and your kids will know,
Yes.
right? Super songs age well. So obviously that's how they can outlive the artist. I mean, so we're talking like, Marvin Gaye, Let's Get It On or that kind of thing, which I don't know if I'll
Yeah.
get sued just for mentioning that song. They seem to sue everybody these days. These days.
Probably. Don't Stop Believing from Journey, right? Like,
Yeah, yep. So the songs that age really well. But it's funny, I was in a car parts thing getting a battery replaced yesterday, and Dirks Bentley, What Was I Thinking, came on the radio. Or was playing behind the counter or whatever. And I was like bobbing my head to it. And the guy in line behind me was kind of going, What was I thinking? I was like, dang, this song really holds up. Like, how many
yeah,
years has that been now? It's been a while, like
yeah. That was his
2002.
breakout single,
It was
wasn't it?
his debut single. I'm like, this
Yeah.
song still holds up really well. But anyway, super songs age well. Super songs tell the listener story, not the artist story. So there's a saying and I'm reading from the book here. There's a saying in the music business that professional artists do it for their fans, while amateur artists do it for themselves.
Mm,
So this shows up heavily in the realm of songwriting and the impacts a song's ability to reach super song status. People connect with super songs because they can find their own stories and past experiences within the lyrics. So, I mean,
yeah.
you mentioned Journey's Don't Stop Believing. Yeah, she was a small steel town girl on a Saturday night, so it
Yeah.
has somebody else's story, but that don't stop believing that like how many people apply that to themselves and hang on
Yeah.
to that for themselves or living on a prayer. Similar kind of thing,
Mhm,
Bon Jovi. Living on a prayer. Yeah,
mhm.
it's Tommy and Gina, their story in the verses, but that living on a prayer, which I want to sing that. I want to crank that so loud right now. But anyway, that is people can find their story in that, right?
Yeah.
It's about the listener story, not the artist story. So it's not all inside. Super songs use concepts that are universal themes. Makes sense, right? Universal.
Mhm,
So this is an extension of the previous point. Super songs that always have mass appeal because the themes of the songs are easily relatable. Everyone knows what it's like to lose someone to cancer. So, like, Live Like You Were Dying, Tim McGraw.
mhm,
Everybody knows what it's like to work long hours and hate your job, 9 to 5, Dolly Parton. Everybody
mhm.
knows what it's like to want to blow off steam and have a good time, Rock and Roll All Night by Kiss. Super songs always strike close to the heart of music fans. So the songs make people want to crank up the volume as soon as they hear it and yell, "That's my song." Go to a wedding party, walk over to the DJ and request Back in Black by AC/DC. Then watch what happens.
Yes.
Right? So it's universal themes. These are not like super niche internal things that I don't no, these are universal things. Live like you were dying and again, they're so specific in the verses, little sidebar, and live like you were
Mhm,
dying is super specific in the
mhm.
lyric, but the point is universal. Like I have no desire to go skydiving. I'll be honest about it. If it's a good plane, I don't need to jump out of it. If it's working,
Why are you jumping out of a perfectly good
we're good.
airplane?
Exactly. No desire to do that. But still, I can relate to the message of it of living your life to the fullest. 9 to 5, praise God, I have not had a day job in a while, and Lord willing, will never again. But man, how many people can relate to that, especially women in the workforce, right?
Yeah.
It's an anthem. Rock and roll, these are like anthems.
Yeah.
So they are universal themes, so the broad appeal. Super songs are also commonly upbeat, so tempo. These are not slow ballads. They can be, right? But most of the time, they're commonly upbeat. Put some tempo on it, baby. Don't put us to sleep. These aren't lullabies.
Yeah.
Also, super songs don't have to be explained. They're just self-evident. They explain themselves.
Oh,
Don't
that's a good
stop
point.
believing. I know what that's talking about. 9 to 5. I know what that's talking about. Live like you're dying. I know what that's talking about. I get
Yeah.
it. You know? So that's important.
Like you
Dream
were dying.
On, Aerosmith. What?
Yeah.
It's right
It's
there in
in
the
the
title.
title. You know what it's about. It's the title.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even stuff that like Dream On, Aerosmith, I would classify as a super song.
Oh,
All you
yeah.
got just that Dream On. Just that
Yeah.
part is all I really need to know. Like you don't have to explain all of it to me. I know what's
Uh-huh.
going on. And also, here's an interesting thing. Super songs don't have to be Billboard hits. Black Sabbath, Iron Maiden failed to crack the Billboard Top 50. Iron Man. I mean, come on. We all know that.
Good song. Yeah.
You know,
I am
Iron
Iron
Man. Right.
Man.
And of course, the Marvel thing didn't hurt either. But that was much after. It was already a super song. That's why Marvel used it, right?
Uh-huh.
For the
That's the
Robert
best.
Downey stuff. So again, the Jason Newsted of Metallica said it's more important to have a classic song than a number one song. And
Yeah.
I mean, did Inner Sandman hit number one? I don't know if it did. I mean,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
rare for those rock songs to hit number one on like mainstream chart, other than like a rock band.
I'm almost positive Enter Sandman. I would be surprised if Enter Sandman didn't.
And that was
That
a
was
huge record, and that was
the
uncommon
big one
though.
that exploded them across all the
It
platforms,
did,
and they
yeah.
were
So,
like,
but it's interesting though. Like Aerosmith didn't have a number one until like "Don't Want to Miss a Thing." I think it was like
yeah,
their first. They finally got a number one. But
yeah,
all those other
yeah,
songs, "Dream On," "Walk This Way," that are super
yeah,
songs that are just classics. Yeah,
yeah.
no, not number one. So it's more
Well,
important to have a
hey,
classic than a number one.
think about this. I mean, so I think pretty sure "Live Like You Were Dying" was the number one,
Oh yeah, that
and
was
also
multi-week number one.
song.
Yeah.
But compare that to Chuck Yeah, which also went number one, and
Right.
there's the nuance.
There's a thing, right? Yeah.
Can you remember the Chuck Yeah song? No.
Well, God bless them. I mean, hey, I'm not hating on it because they rang the bell, you
Yep.
know. So hey,
They
rock
got a
on.
number one, but that isn't gonna age well. That's not a classic.
That's not a
Uh,
classic though. It's not a super
no,
song.
it's
But it's
not "Live
number
Like You Were
one.
Dying." That's
Hey,
not "Don't Take the Girl," you know?
no. Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, hey, number ones aren't bad. We're not hating on them.
Yeah.
That's good job if you can do it. But we're aiming at super songs here. Is what
Yeah.
these are. Um, so some things that super songs are not. They're not dependent on Billboard charts. They're not dependent on RIAA sales. That's the Recording Industry Association of America. So like, the platinum I got on the wall behind me, that's certified by the RIAA, right?
Mhm,
They're the ones that
mhm.
do all the certifications, gold, platinum. It's not dependent upon that. It's not dependent upon genre, and it's not dependent upon age.
Yeah.
These go beyond all that, right?
They
So some
transcend
examples.
it all.
Yeah. So some examples: "Don't Stop Believing" by Journey, "Living on a Prayer" by John Bon Jovi, which we mentioned, "Margaritaville" by Jimmy Buffett. I mean, that was
Yeah.
not a radio hit. "Greatest Love of All" by Whitney Houston, "My Way," Frank Sinatra, "99 Problems" by Jay Z, "Friends in Low Places," "Like a Virgin,"
Mhm,
"When a Man Loves a Woman," "Beat It," like all super
mhm.
songs. They generational, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, there's luck that does play into it, right? There's luck, there's timing, there's that sort of stuff that we just can't control. It just happens, right? But they include this one thing I like about this book, Hacking Music, is a little bit of a textbook. They have a lot of graphic, a lot of matrices in there, that sort of stuff. And they have a song stickiness matrix. So a matrix, so imagine a square and it has two lines, dissecting
2
it both
axes.
ways.
2
So you end up
axes.
having like four little squares in a big square, right?
Mhm.
You got an x-axis and a y-axis. I believe was the y goes up, the x goes across. But anyway, So, oh look, they quote this guy named Brent Baxter. Ask budding songwriters, are you building your songs in the right neighborhood? With the song stickiness matrix. So thank you for the quote, guys. With the song stickiness matrix, we identify the bullseye within our dartboard. Take a look at the blank version of it on the next page. So the horizontal axis, so that's like if you go from left to right, represents place. So the songs landing further to the left come from a personal place, internal. So if you're down around the lower left-hand corner, it's much more personal. As you move to the right, it gets more universal in concept, who can understand it, what you're talking about. And then as you go up and down, way down at the bottom, so this be the bottom left-hand corner, is down tempo. And as you go up the chart, up the I guess the axis there, it's more up tempo. All right. So right there in that little corner where everything's like 1-1, it's down tempo, very personal. Then as you go further out, it's getting more up tempo, more universal, that sort of thing. So, hey, there are songs that are successful that fall into what you end up having then is like 4 quadrants. One is like down tempo personal. Then you have down tempo universal. You have up tempo but personal, and up tempo and universal. So those are your options with these things, right? So there are known songs that fall into each of these 4 quadrants. So they're examples of successful songs in all 4 quadrants. But one of the 4 quadrants generates 85% of publishing revenues.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the upper right-hand quadrant. Tempo.
Oh, up tempo universal. All right. Shocker. Shocker. 85% of publishing revenue. So if you as a songwriter or an artist would like to participate in publishing revenues and create some of your own publishing revenues, let's see what's making most of that money. Up tempo, universal theme, right? Understandable. We talked about they don't have to be explained and they're universal in topic. So one of the 4 quadrants houses the majority of all super songs. Wonder what quadrant that could be.
Well, hold on. Upper right-hand quadrant?
Upper right hand, up tempo, universal. Yes. So there's a reason why songs in one of the 4 quadrants are pitched 90% more than the others. I mean, like publishers and artists are always looking for up tempo positive, but up tempo and universal, really. So let's see here. You want to avoid writing songs in the quadrants that are submitted to publishers 8 out of 10 times, despite being the most unpitchable. So what it says is, so there's one quadrant that is, or the quadrants that are pitched to publishers 8 out of 10 times, but they're not the one that's generating 85% of the publishing revenue. Another word.
The one that's pitched 8 out of 10 times, I'm going to say is upper left-hand corner, right?
So up tempo personal.
Oh no, lower left-hand corner.
Lower left.
So
Down tempo. Yeah. So it's saying like the other.
ballad universal.
Right. So most of what publishers get pitched are down tempo personal, meaning it's slow and I don't know what you're talking about. Or up tempo and personal going, oh, it's tempo, but still it's not very universal. It's about this really niche-y, who cares? Or it's down tempo universal. So that'd be your ballads, your heartbreak ballads, your love ballads, which may be very universal. Like I Love You songs are very universal, but it's ballad. And that falls out of the that's not in the quadrant that makes 85% of the publishing revenue. So it's still just not as pitchable. So 8 out of 10 times the publisher is getting pitched one of these other 3 quadrants and not getting pitched the up-tempo universal. So if you want to get publishers' attention, up-tempo universal, because that's where they make their money.
And
so
you can find a lot of up-tempo universal content that you already have, songwriters and artists that you've already written it. You know where you can find that?
Oh, I know, but why don't you tell us?
Well, in the down tempo universal ballads, all those songs that you wrote, just go and try to spin that up with some tempo and see what happens.
Exactly. And one way to maybe a hack to think about it and to separate yourself from it a little bit is say you're on one of these shows like The Voice or America's Got Talent, and they're like, we want you to do this cover. of this song, and it's your own song, right? It's your ballad, your love ballad. We want you to cover this, but you got to do it as a tempo.
Yeah.
Just think of it like
Think
as
like
an
a
assignment,
challenge.
as a challenge. Like, oh, okay, how would I do this if I were going to do tempo? And play with it. You might be really
Mhm.
surprised. I mean,
Yes.
I've heard that's how Journey wrote most of their stuff. They write them as ballads, and then they find a way to just tempo them up.
Yep.
So I don't know if that's true, but that's what I've heard, and it, hey, works for me.
I mean,
So
The Mavericks
Mavericks.
are just all sappy love songs,
Mhm.
sappy ballads that just with some tempo on it,
Yeah,
And
there
they're
you go.
fantastic songs. I don't mean sappy like being I'm not being negative. I'm saying like I can almost guarantee you that they're written like ballads, and they're like that's the last step is like perfect. We've got it written. It's like all right now, just dial it up like 20 clicks.
Yeah, or like or whoever's doing the writing, brings. I got this lyric, man. I cried all night writing it. They're like, "Oh, you cried all night. That's nice. 1, 2, 3, go."
Yes, yes. Now sing it. Yeah.
Exactly.
Voice boy, come
It'd
on.
be like, oh, you know what? Remember that song, that thing, or that movie, That Thing You Do with Tom Hanks about the
Yeah,
wonders?
yeah,
That and they started playing it. He's like, "You're playing it's this sweet ballad, you doing that thing." And then the drummer got a hold of it. He's like, "You're playing too fast. You're playing too fast." And they just had to play it like a mid or up tempo, and it became a hit.
yep,
Like,
yep.
"You ruined my ballad." People were dancing. It's
Yeah,
like
exactly.
that becomes
You're
their hit. So it's
but
so
look
funny. I never thought about that in that movie, but that is like it's the lead singer's meaningful love ballad, and the
uh-huh,
drummer
it
just
was
was like,
whatever.
whatever, pop, 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 pop.
Exactly. I just think, you know what? I think like approaching that exercise, I don't know how anybody would be adverse to that. I just think it would be such a fun little journey to
Yeah.
mess around that. You know why? Because it can still always be a ballad. You're not
Mhm.
gonna bastardize it. You're not gonna ruin it. But gosh, that would be, man. Imagine what happens when you're like,
Yeah.
this is like, wow, like people really like this better. You're going to be uncomfortable with it. Let's just save the suspense
Mhm.
because you wrote it as a ballad, but try it out up tempo once when you're playing a gig and
Mhm.
just for giggles and see what happens. And you might be surprised, like, wow, I've got a whole hit record of ballads that nobody ever wanted to hear before that now people are freaking out over because I just added some friggin' tempo to them.
Right. So much. So they do a case study of Super Song case study, and they dig into Journey on this. And so quadrant 1, which is the down tempo personal, the Journey song "In My Lonely Feeling" appears on the band's self-titled release in 1975. I don't know this song,
I
right?
don't
It's
either.
slow and largely ununderstandable. At the time of this writing, it has only 50,000 views on YouTube and less than 1,000 streams on Spotify. So
Yeah,
Journey's debut album, I don't know this song.
yeah.
Quadrant 2, which is up-tempo and personal. So the song "Homemade Love" was released on Journey's 1980 album Departure. It came at a time when the band was trying new things and finding its feet creatively. At the time of writing, "Homemade Love" has more than 300,000 views on YouTube. So it's up-tempo, but still very personal, not real
Mhm.
universal. Quadrant 3, down-tempo universal, "Open Arms."
Yes.
One of Journey's biggest hits. So it's clear message that everybody understands after one listen and does not require any sort of literary criticism for clarification, they say.
Right.
The official video on YouTube has been viewed more than 60 million times, and the song has been streamed on Spotify nearly 35 million times. That's at the time of this book. It's a couple of years old now.
Yeah, wow.
But so that's the power of Universal because it's down tempo, but it's universal. We get it.
Yeah, and that is a
Killer song.
ballad.
Oh, it is
That song has a lot
ballad.
of
It's
meaning to
down
me.
tempo. It ain't even
Song
flirting
has
with
a lot of
yeah.
meaning for me. I
So
remember that song.
yeah, it's a good one. It's a good one. And so that was,
Making
I
out,
mean,
making out
1980. I was
loud.
5 when it came out. Okay, so this is not, you know, it was already big by the time I was paying attention. It'd already been hanging around a while.
Like, that was
Quadrant,
the first time I think I made out with a girl, was, like, to that record was on,
yeah,
and by the time we got to Open Arms, I was making out. It was 8th grade at party at John Smith's house, and I was making out with Mandy Strieber, and
if
that's when I discovered women. I was like, "Oh, this awesome." Open Arms, I'll never forget it. Like, that's what
Thank you, Journey. Yes. And so here, Quadrant 4, up-tempo, universal. Journey's 1981 mega hit, Don't Stop Believing, appears on the Escape album. Fans hearing it need no explanation, and its inspirational message has led it to become an anthem for many people. It's one of the top-selling and most downloaded songs in history. Don't Stop Believing has over 100 million YouTube views and nearly 335 million streams on Spotify.
Wow.
It's just a jam,
Yeah.
right? So it's
It's
up
so
tempo, it's universal, it's self-explanatory, it's an anthem. And so when you're looking at where to build your songs, dear climber, gee,
Mhm.
that's where the literal money is, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that upper right quadrant, quadrant number 4, up tempo, universal. How can you get there? How can you start writing songs in that way? Or if you're an artist, how do we put those out? What are we
Yeah.
looking for? And it's interesting because we were just going back to what we talked about at the beginning of this episode. I was writing with Jamie Grooms and Josh Roy. We were writing for Josh's project. He's going to be putting out singles, and we want to help him have singles worth putting out. And so, I mean, everything we're looking at is we're trying to be universal. We had
Mhm.
2 ballads in there and 3, tempos. A little more ballads than I wanted to do. I was hoping maybe only 1, but we did 2.
Yeah,
But
me
they're
too.
different.
I'm so
One
happy.
I know, I know. So I like to get my ratio a little more heavy on the tempo, but one's, you know, down tempo but universal. It's a love song,
Mhm.
right? Me, you, love, girl, down tempo, universal. The other down tempo one is a mama song, a tearjerker,
Mm,
hopefully.
mhm.
So, let's see. Yeah, moms, that's pretty universal. So it's more down tempo, maybe a little lower mid, so it's not open arms ballad.
Right.
But it's a mama song, so it's
Mhm.
universal. So I'm living in quadrants 3 and 4, and the other 3 songs are all up-tempo and then hopefully universal that a lot of people can relate to. So
Yeah.
I'm, like, living in 3 and 4. Even
Yeah.
when I'm writing with an artist, and we got some of Josh's own personal story in one of these up-tempo songs that is his. I mean, they're all that whole song is just I'm like, "Okay, Josh tells stories." We'll put
Yeah.
him in here. So it is personal to him, but we tie it together where one thing, it's told in an understandable manner because that's what country digs. We wanna know what you're talking about, and we tied it together with this universal chorus that here's my story and here's the big point. Here's my
Mhm.
story and here's the big universal point. So, dude, I'm living in quadrants 3 and 4. And I
Yeah.
mainly like to hang out in quadrant 4
Yep.
because that's where a lot of the cuts happen. So I just want to encourage you guys that to think about that. Go do your own. Some examples, quadrant 1 be like In My Lonely Feeling Journey. So these are the ones you really don't know. Because we're not going to hang out there. We don't want to hang out in down tempo personal. I don't know what's going on. Except for Round Here, Counting Crows. I love that one. I do not know what he's talking about
Yeah.
on Counting Crows Round Here. But it's down tempo and it's personal. I don't care. I love it. So, okay, there's a known song in that quadrant, but man, the band wrote it themselves. It's rare. And
And they're the artist. Yeah.
they're the
Very
artist kind of thing.
ethereal.
So,
Like, I have no idea what that dude was talking about, like,
no idea, but I still dig it. It's a
on any
mood.
of his freaking songs.
It's a mood. Yeah. Let's see. Up tempo personal would be, let's see, Marlene on the Wall, Suzanne Vega, The Temples of Syrinx, Rush, Welcome Home,
Temples of
Coed and
Syrinx.
Cambria. Hmm?
Temple of Syrinx, yeah.
Yeah,
From
that.
Spring of 12.
Okay, so that's not one I know.
It's a
But
story thing. It's not personal. It's a concept album.
it's a concept thing. Yeah, so it's not like it's not that universal. You just listen to it and everybody.
Scarily, to go back and listen to that, the first half was the concept record, the first half of the album. It's scarily, uh, I feel like society is getting close to 20 stuff.
Scary. We're in a rush. Um,
We are the priests of the temples of Syrinx. Like they decide what you can listen to, what you can't listen to. Music
ah,
is not allowed. Like it's this dystopian future set
okay.
thing where, yeah, it's very friggin' frightening.
Well, there you go. All right, so quadrant 3 is down tempo but universal. And they put Live Like You Were Dying in this because Live Like You Were Dying is not an up tempo. Friends in Low
Right.
Places, Garth. I mean, that's a fun mid,
That's a
sing along kind of
mid-tempo,
thing. It's
yeah,
more of
that's,
a
like,
mid.
probably right between up-tempo
It
and
is riding the line, maybe right under up tempo.
mhm,
So still that has more that has some oomph to it.
yeah,
And then When a Man Loves a Woman by Percy Sledge, or
yeah, uh-huh.
what's his name? The other guy that did it. I can't remember his name.
Oh, Michael,
Michael Bolton. Thank you.
Nicole, yeah.
Yeah, the guy from Office Space, Michael Bolton. And
Yeah,
so those are down tempo but universal, right?
mhm,
They're not big barn burners, but we know what's going on. They have a big universal message.
yes,
And then up quadrant 4, up tempo universal. Some examples: Living on a Prayer, Like a Virgin, 99 Problems, Don't Stop Believing, 9 to 5. I don't even have to tell you the artist because you know.
yeah.
And that's the whole point.
Doesn't matter what genre you listen to mostly, you know all those other songs and all those
Mhm.
other genres.
And even
Yeah.
if they've been around longer than you've been alive,
Yep.
you know 'em. You can't escape them. Sorry. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about today. So thank you, John and Wade, for writing Hacking Music. It's cool. Y'all can find it on Amazon. I'm sure. I think I've looked it up. It's on Amazon, and it's a handy dandy little piece of work there that they did. So thank you guys for doing that, and thanks y'all for listening.
Yeah, we'll put a link to the book in the show notes.
There we go.
So
Yep,
you wanna pick it up, you can.
that's
All
right.
right, guys. Well,
Oh,
that
real
brings us
quick, I have
yeah.
something for the listeners. You haven't picked it up yet. Shame on you because I promo it like every other week. But I have
Mhm.
a free gift for you. It's called 6 Simple Ways to Make Your Songs More Commercial. So if you're wanting to aim for the super song, this is a good, you know,
There's
the
some
companies
actionable stuff. Put it
that
together.
it's
Yes.
actionable. It will help you get to that super song place. Okay, this will help you get your quadrant 4. 6 simple ways to make your songs more commercial. You can find it at songwritingpro.com. You just click on the button that says free gift, or you can go to the number 6simpleways.songwritingpro.com. But just go to songwritingpro.com, look for free gift. You'll find it. I make it easy to find. And it's my gift to you. Just tell me where to send it. I send it to your inbox, and then you can start working on your own super songs. That's what I got.
Love it. Love it, love it. That brings us to the end of another Killer Climb episode, guys. Make sure you join the Climb community. Make sure that you subscribe or follow the podcast so you get all the episodes and you can cherry pick which ones speak to you. And finally, make sure you tell a friend about it. This podcast exists because we want you to win. So keep on climbing.
And we'll see you at the top.